to episode whatever this is, something in the 30s of the Bamcast. I'm your host, Baker Shields. This is my most attractive guest. What is your name? Introduce yourself.
McKenzie Shields.
McKenzie Shields, my beautiful, beautiful wife. We decided to do a super cozy pod today. We had some guests over. A couple of our friends were in town and they needed a place to stay, Caleb and Kylan. And we put the couch into bed mode, lounge mode for them. And then because we had to take them to the airport so early the other morning, we ended up just getting stuck in a cycle of naps. And then we ended up liking it because we were watching some movies. And so we've just been hanging out. But we wanted to do kind of a cozy podcast and update you guys on 1 year of marriage, which is a threshold we crossed last month.
That's crazy.
I know. So we've got couple of prompts. We got a couple of questions that people have asked as well. But let's talk about, how do you feel about 1 full year being married to all of this?
Okay, well, our 1 year was June 9th. Mm-hmm. So it's been a little over a month, right? Yep. Yeah. Since then. I don't know. I mean, we talked about it and it's just so weird because it feels like you remember the wedding as yesterday. So it's just crazy to me that it's already been a year. But I don't know. We made it, I guess.
I know. Yeah, before our 1 year, we went to Austin. We
had
a fun trip to Austin.
That was really fun.
It was. What was your favorite part about the trip?
The comedy club.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was honestly it made the trip because I think I had a different expectation on Austin. And so I was a little disappointed from some things, but no, that was a really great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a blast too. I think that the comedy club was the coolest because, we went to the Mothership, which was Joe Rogan's comedy club. Mm-hmm. And the coolest part is you don't know who's going to be there on any given night because they don't really give you much information unless there's a big headliner that is building it into their tour. Otherwise, you either pay for a certain level of tickets or a certain level of tickets, and you're going to get a show based on what you pay for. And sometimes, big names also will just pop in and practice stuff. So you never kind of know. It's kind of exciting. Mm-hmm. And we had to turn in our phones, which was I didn't know about. You had to turn in your phones into you had to turn them off, all electronics off, and you had to put them in this bag that locked. And the only way that they could unlock is after the show, they would unlock it for you. And so the comics, I think, take full advantage of that because they were it was nothing held back.
But I like that because it was just it was a nice break because I feel like everyone's just gotten so sensitive now. You don't want to, upset anyone or say something wrong. But yeah, they didn't hold back at all.
Not at all.
So it was funny.
Yeah. But that was an awesome time. And they had a 3-drink minimum or 2-drink minimum. So we had to take advantage of that. But we had an awesome time for the 1 year. Speaking of the sensitivity and all the craziness that's going on right now, Donald Trump was shot.
I can't believe that. I thought when you first said it that someone, made a video with AI and it was fake. And I was like, Baker, check your sources.
You thought I was messing with you.
Yeah. I'm like, how could that happen? I mean, obviously I don't know all the facts, but that's just still crazy to me. And I'm sure more information will come out later on. But yeah, I was just so shocked. But yeah. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy election year.
It is. It's already shaping up that way. And it's going to be, the weirdest thing to me is that, it seems like a very logical place that you would probably have scouted out or have people at based on the maps that are coming out about where the shooter was placed and all that. But you also I saw a diagram of the trajectory of the bullet, and it was literally, I think it was 0.8 of a second before Trump turned his head. His head was 45 degrees, turned a little bit more, where the bullet would have just went straight through. And then right as I guess it was coming, he kind of cranked his head over here to look at something. And that's when you see him go like this and touch his ear. And then everything just went into chaos. So it was just an inch within an inch of, I think, probably a lot of the country going into full chaos. But it's just a tragic deal too, because obviously there was any loss of life is tragic, but the shooter obviously got killed as well. But there was another guy that actually ended up getting hit with one of the bullets that was meant for Trump. That was, I guess, trying to shield his daughter and wife, is what the reports are coming out as.
Wow.
And he got just hit, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's so sad that he got hurt, and yeah, I'm still like taken back from everything, because I don't know, it's not even late in the year and this is already happening, so I hope nothing crazy happens later on. So
hopefully whoever the candidates are will all step up security, and it'll be a good, clean race from here on out, because there's just no place for that type of stuff, really.
Right.
Which I did see on Rogan's podcast that there was, in the recent Mexican election. Did you see what happened there?
No.
It was like the election for the president, I guess, of Mexico. And I think it was the number. Somebody's going to have to fact check me, because I also just sometimes get stuff mixed up in my brain. But I think the number that they said was there was like 36 candidates in that election were killed leading up to the election. Oh my gosh. Before somebody got elected.
36? Mm-hmm. I would be too scared to run.
I know. It's insane. But yeah, 36 of them were assassinated. And
it makes you question like who wasn't assassinated, who their ties are, you know? Wow, that's wild.
It's terrifying, especially in 2024 for something like that to happen. Okay, so let's start off with some of our prompts that we have here. First thing you put was things that are weird about each other. Can you start there?
Things that are weird about each other? Oh, like things that I do that you think's weird, and vice versa. Okay, do you want to go first?
You go first.
You're putting me on the spot. Okay. I should have made a list. You do a lot of weird things. One of them is you have to have your water room temperature. So we literally have an extra Brita for you, and we put it in the little cabinet.
Yep.
I think that's weird. Another thing you don't do anymore, but you would fold your jeans and you would put it in a drawer. I thought that was really weird. I have never met anyone to do that, so that's crazy. Today it reminded me, we went shopping, and normally, like 9 out of 10 times, you will put your groceries in the back seat, not the trunk, and that bothers me because it's so much harder to get your groceries out of the back seat of the car. So I think that's weird. What's another thing?
You always get me on the food thing as well.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, it's already weird that you have such a picky, like, I don't know, like, you're very picky as far as food goes. Like, you only eat, like, a number of things. Basically, chicken, rice. That's it. Mm-hmm. And sweet potato fries. So that's already weird. But you have to eat it, like, how would you call it? Like, one category at a time. So you don't like eat, like if you got chicken and rice, you wouldn't just eat like a bite of chicken and then a bite of rice. You would have to like eat all of one thing. So I thought that was really weird. So that's kind of crazy. And then your obsession with sauces, like barbecue. Gosh, we had to buy so much barbecue for you. It's crazy.
I'm a connoisseur.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's all I can think of on the spot. I really should have made a list because there's a lot of weird things. I
think you thought of plenty. Actually, I think you're very well prepared for that.
Maybe I'll think of more. I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up throughout.
I thought we were just going to come up with stuff on the spot, so I did not prepare a list there. But let's see, things that you do that are weird. since we have another category for annoying later on, I'll try to stay away from the annoying category. Um, things that you do that are weird. I think it's super weird how you clean. So you're very obsessive about cleaning in general. But when you go to clean, you don't like I want to check off boxes. So I'll start on one room, and I'll clean it top to bottom, and then I'll move on to the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So I'm checking stuff off. Or even if you just start on one task, like windows, and then you do windows throughout the entire house, and then dusting, and then you dust that would make sense to me. But you will start in here and do 3 of the windows, and then you'll go into the office and start dusting, and then you go into the bedroom and you'll vacuum it, and you go into one of the bathrooms and do it like clean with the toilets, and then it's before you know it, the entire house has to be shut down and is in pure chaos because you have stuff sprawled everywhere that's like 2.5% cleaned, and then you go all into other random tasks that makes it 5% cleaned, and then you slowly just work your way up. That is a very, very weird thing to me.
Okay, can I tell you why?
I didn't interrupt you. But what?
Well, I have to defend myself.
What?
The reason I do that is because you're home. So like I'll clean in the living room and then go to the kitchen, and when I start cleaning the kitchen, you make your food. So I'm like, well, shoot, I can't do that now. So
I
then
don't
I'm
think
like,
that's
okay,
that's
skip
not
this.
valid.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
And then I'll like, go clean the bathroom, and then yeah, it's just if you weren't home, it would be so much smoother. I probably would have gotten it cleaned like in literally half the time.
I
I
don't believe
normally
it.
do. Yeah.
Um, other weird things. I think it's weird that you have to have your water super cold.
I don't have to have it super cold.
Yes, you do. I think it's weird that you can't ever finish a drink.
Okay.
Period. Even water. If water gets too old, then it's old water, and you have to dump it out and get new water.
Okay, that is a thing.
No, that's weird. You never finish. Like you had a Dr. Pepper in there that you've been sipping on for maybe like 4 days. Same thing with protein shakes. You leave them in there. Same thing with pre-workout. You get pre-workout and you'll put like this much water in the bottom of a shaker cup and then a full scoop of pre-workout, and you'll sip on that for a week.
Yeah, because I drink the pre workout until I get the little ant bites, and then once I get those, I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
You're
And I'm like,
weird.
I don't need to drink anymore.
What else? I think another weird thing that you do is you always have to have some sort of huge drinking apparatus that you pull around
What do you mean?
with, like your little Stanley or your gallon jug that you took around forever, or any number of different tumblers before that.
Okay, you have to stay hydrated.
You do have to stay hydrated, but
Yeah,
you do that on top of other drinks. And then you also,
because I don't like mixing it. Like if I'm going to the gym, if I'm going to the gym
I
and I
didn't
have my
interrupt at all when you were saying all of my stuff, but
and I have my pre workout in one cup. And again, like you said, I don't finish it. But if I were to finish it, I'm not going to want to put water in a cup that has pre-workout flavor in it because I want actual water flavor. I don't want water flavored
so
as
you wash out
pre-workout.
the cup. You just rinse it out and then you're fine.
Okay, well, I like our water here. Water tastes differently everywhere, I swear. If I told you this before, I cannot drink the water at my work because it's nasty. They have a filter, but I don't know. It just doesn't filter it right.
Okay. Anyways, last weird thing is you way overpack for everything.
You have to have options. Every girl
No,
does that,
listen.
Baker.
No, I'm not talking about trips. I'm not talking about trips. Even just like going to your parents for a couple of hours or going to work, you have this huge lunchbox that was given to us as a gift, and it's we're lucky if we can zip it no matter what. And then you get home at the end of the day and you still haven't eaten anything. But you pack everything that you could possibly want to eat throughout the day.
Well, it's because the worst thing is if I'm at work and I'm hungry and I don't have food, I will go out and buy something. And it's obviously not going to be very good for me because anywhere around me is going to be either like a restaurant or fast food or a convenience store. So I'm not going to go find like apples or, like
Whenever you say. But also your brain, like whenever I walk you to your car in the morning, it is a huge lunchbox. It's a backpack. It's a purse. Sometimes it's a gym bag. It's carrying your shoes, carrying one of your waters, sometimes a coffee or an alternative or a Dr. Pepper as well. And it's an entire event just to get you anywhere.
If you think that's bad, you should see me trying to, like, when I get to work, parking and going up the elevator. I get some weird looks.
I bet. Okay, so next topic. Things that bug the other person. I feel like we just did that, honestly.
Oh, we did? Because I mean, there is a list that I have.
Go through your other list.
Okay. Things that bug me. Oh, let's see. Okay, so your one chore is to take out the trash. And I guess to remind you and everyone else, we live in an apartment where there's valet trash. All you have to do is just put it outside the door. And I probably do it like 8 out of 10 times. I'll give you 2 times. Yeah. I do it like 80% of the time.
Okay, well, can I defend myself?
Sure.
My defense is that you just get in a mode of doing things, and then you see the trash is like 75% full, and you're like, I'm going to take this out because I want to do something right now.
No, it's not.
I can always fit in more trash, and I will take it out whenever it needs to be taken out.
It's
you prematurely take it out.
Okay, but sometimes there's food in it, and if you want flies, you just keep it in there. But like, if you throw away food, you got to take out the trash because you'll get bugs.
You need to stay in your lane, Shields.
I'm serious.
You need to stay in your lane.
We're gonna start getting bugs. That's gross.
We get bugs because of your flowers. Continue. Next thing.
Let's see. Oh, when I'm doing chores, like, I don't know. Like, I'll do something and have to stop in between it for some odd reason. And so, like, let's say I like take out laundry out of the dryer and put it on the couch or something. I'm like, okay, I'll fold that later. It doesn't even faze you that it's there. Like, you're just like,
you have to think of how I lived my entire life before this.
Okay, but for me, like, if I see it, I'm like, okay, I'll take care of it. If I have time.
It's not how my brain works.
Okay, well, you need to fix your brain. Because I'm just like, I get back from, having this, I stop it to go do something and I get back to, fix it. And then I'm like, Baker could have done this.
It's not how my brain works. My brain doesn't look for, there's just so many huge world problem solving that is happening in my brain that it filters everything out.
Oh, it does?
Yeah. And so unless it's spoken to me, then I can't. I just see through it.
Okay.
It's just what happens. Anything else?
I don't know. I really have to think about it. There's just so much that bug me, and I just kind of like try and calm myself down. But it's fine.
I'll start.
Okay.
Things that bug me about you. The biggest thing is riding with you anywhere.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I could talk about that to you.
No, you couldn't. Because a brake light will flicker 3 miles down the road, and you are gasping. You're grabbing onto the handle next to your door. You're pumping your own imaginary brake, and freaking and yelling my name all at once.
Okay, but you have to admit, I have saved us from 2 car wrecks.
No.
Yes, I have. No, you have to admit that. I have. Because you were like, okay, that time it was valid.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
But that's definitely an annoying one. The cleaning thing definitely gets annoying. There was one other thing.
I have OCD. Like, I think
you do have OCD.
Yeah.
You do have OCD. What is another one? Oh, your alarms. Your alarms is a big one for me. Because I set one alarm and I wake up every single day during that one alarm or right before it. And you set probably 6 alarms. and you snooze every single one of them as they go off. So within 30 minutes, we have 20 alarms going off every few seconds.
Okay, well, like I'm not very good at time management, so I have those alarms for reasons. Like there's an alarm where it's like, okay, get up, Kenzie. And then there's another alarm where it's like, okay, really get up. And there's another one where it's like, you're late, like get up.
Or
And
you
then
could
there's
just get
alarms.
up with the first one. You're conditioning yourself to sleep through alarms.
But if I only have one alarm and I snooze it, then
You don't snooze it. You get up. That's the whole point.
okay, that is really hard to do. Because even you go and get your phone and you turn it off and you go
Because
back
I
to
know you're
bed.
going to be asleep for another 30 minutes.
Yeah, so thankfully
And I
I
don't
have
go to
alarms
bed.
for
I
our
don't go to bed.
backup.
I wait until you either say, I'm just too tired today, or I'm sore. I don't feel good. I wait until you give me a verdict on if we're getting up. I just sit there and either play on my phone or wait until you say what we're doing.
Okay, well, you just gotta. Oh, another thing that bugs me, the way you sleep. You have to have it like pitch black in the
And
room.
you enjoy it now. You
No, I
are
don't.
conditioned.
No, I don't.
Yes.
No, I don't. I'd rather have sunlight.
Mm.
You make me close the blinds,
Yes.
and you wear those. You wear the eye mask
I
that
don't
looks
mess
like.
around with my sleep.
Okay.
I don't mess around with my sleep. We keep it cold. We keep it as dark as possible, and I wear an eye mask. And sometimes I wear a nose thing.
Yeah, you have a lot of issues.
A lot of them come from you. Things we struggle with the most. I don't know what you meant by that.
Like, as a couple, I guess we can do that one as a couple.
Like in a relationship?
Just anything.
Okay, will you
Like I feel
start? Give me
like,
an example.
like I feel like one thing, and I feel like this is really common for all marriages, but one thing that we struggle with is just like finances in general, like money, like talking about money, planning for the future with money, where to put what, where, how much to save, things like that, like what to spend it on. I think we're doing pretty well because we're being very open about like what we want, what our plans are for, and how much, we want to put back. But especially at the beginning, it was a big challenge because, I mean, you're going from only having to worry about yourself, having your own account, spending your money on whatever you want, to, okay, you have to share this with another person. And I know like there's some couples that keep them separate, some that keep it all together, some that keep it together and have separate accounts as well. But um, yeah, I think that is probably our biggest struggle, but we have learned to handle it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my take on it.
What,
What would you say?
how do you think we've gotten to handle it well?
Well, I think just, well, at first, okay, I work in finance, just for everyone to know. So I look at money and numbers every day. I like look at accounts and the stock market and all that stuff. So I mean, I'm constantly thinking about our accounts, I can't not think about our stuff. And so while I'm at work, like I'll think about it and I'm like, okay, like thinking about our goals, if we save X amount of dollars, if we have put away X amount of dollars, we could get this goal by this amount of time. And so, I mean, sometimes I would text you, and obviously, texting you can get stuff taken the wrong way or come across more aggressively. So that would cause a few fights. So we've learned to not text about it, which helped a lot, I think. And then we've also learned that since it is a topic that we do struggle with, we just kind of like, you know, be aware of not like getting heated in the moment if you're upset or you have a strong like opinion about something. So we like say what we want to say and then we hear the other person out. So I think we're doing really well as far as like knowing that this is something that we struggle with. And I wouldn't say like struggle with, but it's just kind of like an area that is just a little bit harder to take on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the texting thing was really a good chunk of that was just that it would be every single Monday. And especially as a business owner, Mondays are full of my Monday meetings with like the team. It's always chaos because whatever happened or broke over the weekend, we're dealing with it now.
Yeah.
And it's just like a ton of, I'm in meetings all day, every day, like especially Mondays. And so it would be, I start my work day and then I start to get like text, 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 text. And it's all about like, hey, do we want to do this, this, and this? Hey, we really got to, cut back and try to get this. Or really got to, hey, do you want to spend money on this? And it's like, for me, it was just like, I can't answer all of these. I would try to answer it initially and it was just adding so much more stress for me. So I'm like, hey, we either need to talk about these before you go into work on Mondays, or like let's make a list of it and let's talk about it after you get home, because I can't just text about it, because you're going to get angry that I'm not responding fast enough. I'm going to get angry that I'm even having to respond to this right now in the middle of working, or while I'm on a call talking to somebody else making financial decisions.
Right.
So that was like that was the texting thing. That was just, it's just better to talk in person, I feel like, with the majority of anything. And we've done a lot better with that, with all, not necessarily like fights, but anything that ends up being something bigger that we should talk about. We've done a lot better about one of us just being like, hey, let's talk about this in person. Let's talk about it when we get home.
Yeah.
Instead of let's text about it. And then, like you said, you might take something I text out of context because I'm trying to text quickly in between calls and I don't include punctuation or emojis or something like that, something stupid.
Yeah.
And I might interpret something wrong from you, that just because you're a bad texter, and I might include something wrong or interpret something wrong from you because of whatever reason as well. And it doesn't have to be that way. So I think the texting thing we've kind of figured out. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about it with even our friends that visited us this weekend. I mean, it is a weird thing whenever you have to run decisions by another person, because you go from being able to buy everything that you possibly want, and make all your own decisions, and you have your plan, and it's almost never is it going to completely align with someone else's full plan. So there's going to be compromises on both sides. And it does get into, like, they even brought up that they feel like they make decisions. One of them will kind of like splurge,
Right.
and do something, and then the other person feels like, well, if she's going to do it, then I'm going to get a couple of things that I've been wanting, and then it kind of ends up being like a tit for tat type of thing. And there's a little bit of that, like a little bit of that feeling. It's like if you get a purse or something, I'm like, well, I've been not buying these other things that I've been wanting to get, so like, let me get a couple of things. And then it's like, I don't know, it just is a weird kind of dynamic. But I feel like we've definitely figured that part out as well.
Yeah, and I think the more time you're kind of doing it that way, the better you understand the other person. The better it's like, okay, I'd be okay just doing this, or this amount I should talk to the other person about. So
Yeah,
I think we've handled that pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah. I mean, we've only been married for a year, so we'll see. But
Yeah, no, we'll see if we make it a little bit further than that. Any other things that you think we struggle with?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's just like the main thing. I mean, can you think of anything?
No, I mean, it also goes into conflict styles. That's another thing that you always have to navigate.
Yes. Okay. You're the type where you have to, if you're upset with someone, you have to just talk about it. Like, put it out in the open, like right then and there, fix the problem. I have to cool down because I get heated very easily, and I will just blurt stuff to hurt you in the moment. And I obviously do not mean it, but
Mm-hmm.
in the moment, it will just come out. So I have to like go and like calm myself down and like be like, okay, I'm ready to talk about it. So that's something that we have to navigate, because you want to talk about it right then and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a big one for sure, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, and it also, there's so many things to play into a person's conflict and resolution style. So it is something that it didn't make sense to me for the longest time, how you could walk away with some, because I'm something, it like rips at me and drives me insane if something's unresolved.
Right.
And so it didn't make sense at all to me why you would want to not talk about it right now and then let it, because it would just be eating away at me, whereas you are cooling down and feeling better with like a little bit of time and distance. And so it takes a long time to come to that kind of middle ground, because now you understand more that I have to feel like something is going to be worked on. It especially can't be we go away from it and then we never come back to it.
Right. We
Because
have to
it'll
talk about
still
it.
be in my head,
Right.
even if it's a day later or 2 days later. Like something's got to happen with it. So I think we've kind of both come to a decent middle ground on that as well. But it's tough.
Yeah.
It is really tough.
Yeah, I think the way that we handle it the best is just kind of like, okay, take some time to cool down and then we talk about it. We don't just not talk about it. So we've kind of tackled both sides of it. And then another thing that we are good about is like if we do have some sort of argument, we don't go to bed angry. Like that's something that I'm very adamant about, because if I go to bed angry, I wake up angrier. So not doing that is helpful.
Yeah.
I think
it is too. Our 5, 10, and 20-year goals. I'm curious to hear your answers on that.
My answers. Okay. 5 years. Well, we've already kind of have the house talk. So, I mean, in 5 years we'd have a house, not live in an apartment. And have our first child. I would hope. At least our first child. I don't know. I would hope that we're traveling a lot more. 10 years? Well, how old are we going to be in 10 years? 30.
Almost 40.
5?
35, 36.
God. Okay. See, I don't know. I don't know what to speak on what category. I mean, I would think in 10 years we'd be in a lot better place financially. Not to say like we're struggling or anything, but um, by that point, I would like to think our family would be full. Maybe we'd move to a bigger house or a different area. And 20 years, we'd be 45.
Yeah.
You almost thought I was wrong.
I thought you were, yeah. I'm trying to think of like, it just hurts. It just hurts thinking about.
It hurts to think.
Yeah. About getting that old.
Oh, okay. 45 is not that old. You're going to insult a lot
if
of
our
people.
parents are listening to this, yes,
Yeah.
that's very old.
What? Okay. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking like, well, our kids are going to be like growing up to probably the point to what? Kind of like going towards college, like in high school.
Teenagers, yeah.
Oh gosh, that's going to be fun. I don't want to do that. I don't know. I mean, what would you say? That was kind of a question for you. I was wanting to hear your answer.
I don't know. I mean, 5 years we'll probably have. Hopefully we've kind of put down our roots somewhere.
Yeah, I'd hope.
And probably have at least one kiddo, maybe another one on the way or just born. 10 years, I want to be in a spot where we're both kind of able to work on maybe a project together, or at least like the stuff that we want to work on.
Right.
And whether that's bringing you into one of the businesses or you starting up something that you want to do, like I would love to have that flexibility. And really just whatever you want to do. Whatever career path that you want to go down, like that would be the goal, is that you could kind of choose. But I think that it's so hard for me to even think about 10 years, much less 20.
I know, that's why I struggled.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I mean,
because that could be, you're talking in 20 years, we could have 3 different homes by then. We could be in a different we could be in a different country.
Yeah.
We could live in a different country.
Yeah.
There's so many things that could happen.
A lot can change even just by a year. So thinking 20 years, I mean, gosh, yeah, I don't have a clue.
I don't either. But yeah, ideally, I mean, we probably have teenagers at that point, and they're headed towards college, and hopefully they're not too
Hopefully they don't hate us.
insane. Yeah. Kids, when, how many, and how our parenting styles will be.
Um, okay, kids. This is before having kids. Like, never done it before, obviously. So,
And it'll be cool because one day our kids will watch this and they'll be like, yeah, you guys either did a great job compared to this or you did a really shitty job compared to
yeah,
this.
y'all will get graded. Um, I mean, I've told you before that I'd want four because I grew up in a family of three, and so did you.
Mm-hmm.
But my experience is like, and this could also be because my siblings and we're kind of like spread apart as far as age. But I felt like at certain times one of us was always left out. Like there were two of us that were close to each other, and it would switch. But I feel like with four, and again, it could have been age too, the age gap. But with four, I feel like you always kind of have a buddy. You know, two, you have a buddy. It's harder with odd numbers. So ideally four. I feel like three, I would be fine with two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would want more than one. I mean, I don't want our kid to be lonely. I want
Yeah.
a built-in
I mean,
best friend.
we have to do our part in helping out with the population problem. So
I thought the population problems. There's too many people.
no, we're not replacing the population at a fast enough rate. Not everyone's having the 2.1 kids that you're supposed to have to replace yourself.
Oh, for like
People aren't having
baby
enough kids right
boomers.
now, especially in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I mean, if we do four, then we're doing our job. We're
Yeah,
taking care
we
of
are.
us and another couple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be fine
Just
with three or
looking out for
four.
everyone.
Mm-hmm. But I think parenting style.
I'm old school. You know, I'm old school, and I'm sure that would probably upset a lot of people. But I mean, I grew up with a certain type of style that probably some people would have an issue with, like spanking your kids. And I believe in spanking our kids because that's kind of like what I grew up with. I don't see the issue with that. Like if they're in trouble, um, just so that they understand like what's wrong is wrong. But I know some people don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? Like what parenting styles? I'm trying to think like
I
what
don't
we
know. I
would
think
do.
you have to be. You have to be. I think the father has to have a specific role in the house, and the mother has to have a specific role in the house
Absolutely.
for it to be like a stable
Who's going to be good
household.
cop? I think I will be good cop. I think you can lay down the laws.
I think they're all going to look at me as good cop.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Because if our son is anything like you, he will not take
He's
me
gonna be awesome.
seriously. No, he won't take me seriously though. 'Cause-
You better get a little more stern. No,
oh
we have talked
gosh.
about that. If we have boy or girl, if they're a smart ass like me, it's gonna be very hard for. It's either gonna be very hard for me to deal with, like I'm gonna be miserable, like dealing with always them always being on like I am because I exhaust myself sometimes honestly. But
Okay. I'm glad you realize that
yeah,
because everyone else understands.
so it's either gonna be like a huge just dose amount of medicine, or I'm gonna think it's the funniest thing on earth, and it's gonna be really hard for me to discipline them because I'm gonna be laughing.
Gosh, I hope you're gonna help me out.
I'll help you out for sure. But I think the father and the mother should have specific roles. I think one of the chief roles of the father typically is the disciplinarian and the authoritative kind of enforcer whenever they don't like listen. So I think that's a big part of it. But I don't know. I mean, I want our kids to also not feel like they're being like locked down in a prison either,
Oh yeah, yeah.
to where they want to rebel and stuff when they get into
No.
their teenage years and they want to go crazy. So I think there's kind of a fine line, and I don't know. I mean, you see kids in the same families where one of them. The terrifying thing to me is you see people, whether it's growing up with or you see, stories on like documentaries and stuff, where it's like the parents were amazing people, amazing parents, even sometimes raising two or three kids, two of them went on to be just amazing, super beneficial to society, human beings, and then one of them, for whatever reason, didn't,
Right.
and either turned out to be, one of these crazy documentaries that you see where like, whatever they're called, Dateline, or just turned out to just went down like a really wrong, bad path. That's a terrifying thing to me, is that, and that's what worries me, and I'll have nightmares about it sometimes, is like, you can seemingly do everything right, and
Right.
then they still have to choose their own path and do what they're going to do. You can only control up to like age 10 or 11 or 12, and then they kind of start to pick their friend groups, and their friend groups are what has the most influence on them from that age on,
Right.
not you.
Right. It's just crazy because there's so much factors that can affect someone and how they turn out, just like even by like the area that they live in, because that determines like the type of people that they're surrounded by and like the type of people that they go to school with. And so that's just a lot. I mean, you could do everything that you can to have certain types of parenting styles and, raising your kids a certain way and setting certain behaviors. But there's still those like external factors that you can't really control as much. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one thing we've talked about a lot too is like college. um I feel like college is going to be obsolete by the time it's time for.
yeah. So you're very entrepreneurial minded though. Like you started building your first business when? What age?
Like 12.
Yeah. Not everyone's like that, Baker. So I think like if our kids, and I mean obviously whichever path they go down is fine, but if they show signs of that, I would be okay with that because I know like they have that mindset and they would be able to create something on their own. If they don't, that's perfectly fine too. But I would preferably like a backup plan. So, like having some sort of degree just to fall back on while they figure something out,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I can see
I
both.
think it'll be something that we can. I mean, obviously, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But I just think with the way the world's heading in terms of, AI and all this, like, I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
that it's a college degree is going to be
It,
even that the thing that sets people apart anymore. I think
it,
it's.
and it may not. I mean, think about it when our parents were kids. I mean, my parents never went to college. They're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it wasn't a must. I feel like a few years ago it was like you had to go to college.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a stack of resumes that jobs look for and they take out the people who don't have degrees. I mean,
Well,
that's
and
just
the
like
thing is that I think is the leading indicator that for it's not really going to matter that much past a certain point. It's just going to be your resume as far as what you've done,
right.
what you've learned on your own, what you can prove, like how you fit.
Yeah.
Because right now it's like something like 85 or 90%, I believe, of college graduates don't go into the field that
That
they got
they
their degree in.
yeah.
So they're not even looking at what the degree is. Really, what a college degree is right now is, can you prove that you're able to stay and work at one thing for an extended period of
Are you
time and not
disciplined
give up?
enough? Right.
That's what the piece of paper to me says. And so it's like if you can prove that in other ways or prove that you're useful in whatever, a lot of the top companies aren't being as stringent with that
Right.
anymore. So that's the thing that kind of indicates it to me.
Unless you're going in a specific field like a doctor
Mm-hmm.
or a
Yes. Yeah.
lawyer, something like that. But yeah,
What
I
about
agree.
what about passing on money to kids? Because obviously one of our goals is to be financially free and get to a certain point, and
Right.
then that comes with.
So are we gonna hide this podcast from them? Because I don't want them to know.
Well, we don't have to come up with say a secret plan or anything, but
Oh.
I'm just saying, what's your opinion in general on generations that create a bunch of wealth passing on to.
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, it really just depends, like how responsible they are. I mean, they're if I had access to a large amount of money or any sort of money when I was 19, 20 years old, still in college, probably wouldn't have been responsible with it, you know? Um, so I think I would love to pass money down to our children and our future grandchildren and their children, etc. But maybe set some sort of like put it in a trust or something where there's like you can't access it till you're this age or something like that, or put it in the will, or so there's some sort of like security with that so they don't just blow it.
Mhm.
But that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I think you got to outline it really, really clearly, and I think also the big thing is that you don't. Um, I can't remember the percentages, but most like generational wealth, whenever somebody builds up like a substantial amount of wealth, it's usually gone within 2 generations. I don't remember the exact statistics, but typically it's gone. Not their kids, take advantage of it and usually blow a lot of it, and then their kids grow up watching their parents not having worked very hard and
Right.
not and just blowing all this money and being careless with it, and so they do the same thing, and they're the ones that exhaust it,
Right.
and then it's back to poor after
Right.
that. Um, so it's something that really makes you think about what kind of values can you teach, and like you don't want them to never know struggle. You just want to be able to kind of can shield them from the types of struggle that you don't want them to have to go through.
Right.
Right.
I mean, like my parents, they came from like literally ground zero, and they built something for themselves. So I'm like super proud of them for doing that and putting in the hard work. So I saw that through them.
Mm-hmm.
And they did so much for us by giving us the life that we had, but also like again, that area, like they put us in a really um like not like, I wouldn't say wealthy, but like in a nice area that we lived in. We went to a really great school, but there were also a bunch of kids that I went to school with that were like snobby, like the typical snobby rich kids. So I saw firsthand like kids my age that just kind of like took it for granted, you know? So I understand that. And to me is like, if we were to ever have access, or, our children, I would hope that they would still work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I would want.
Yeah. So that's why I plan to do a lot of like entrepreneurial stuff with them
Right.
growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and not like giving them a bunch, but just showing them this is what it looks like, this is what it takes. And hopefully by that point being able to say this is how dad got his start, and these are the things that I was doing.
Right.
Go start a lawn care business and go mow lawns and get dirty and figure out how to manage cash, and you got to save. You spent it all, well, guess you can't mow lawns this week because you don't have enough money for gas or anything. You better go do some yard work that doesn't take a lawnmower and engine, and get some more cash to fill up the mowers so you can get back to like that's the
Right.
type of stuff that they have to go figure out and understand how to manage money,
Mm-hmm.
how to do all of those things on their own, to where then when you give somebody like that has all the fundamentals and the basics and the kind of like core principles that you need to have to continue to go be successful and expand wealth further, because that would be the hope, is that they can
Yeah.
take it and run with it.
Right. They don't just blow it.
Then that's whenever it's kind of like just fuel to the fire. Like they can just go and just spread it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I'm very excited about, is doing that, like the lemonade stands, the lawn care businesses, the like little things that I can just kind
The
of.
lemonade stands. I
Mhm.
did that with my sister.
Mhm.
Those are fun.
Um,
Of course, we spent my mom's money to make it, and then we
yeah,
kept the change.
yeah,
But you get it.
yep. Why can't Kenzie have a dog?
I
You have
swear that
been,
wasn't me.
I know, you have been putting me on blast on social media, acting like I'm a dog hater. So let's clear this up.
Okay, just give me a dog.
No.
That
Here's
would
the deal.
solve all the issues.
Here's the deal. Okay. you have been asking for a dog. We've both been talking about getting a dog
For
for a long
years.
time. Okay.
Yeah.
We both have differing views on what kind of dog to get, but I think we could come to some sort of a consensus.
And get my dog.
No. But we live in an apartment with no grass around except for artificial turf that the apartment has like over near the highway. And then we'd have to drive to get to any real grass anywhere. Especially if it's a puppy, I would be stuck with it yapping at home and having to drive to go take it to go to the bathroom in between all my meetings, all my stuff that's going on. And it would not have the greatest quality of life right now in our current living situation.
Our dog would be so happy though, because I would give it so much love. Yes. And we could take him or her on runs.
Not until they're fully grown.
Well, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, we have to wait.
You promised me when we get a house, and hopefully we'll get a house after this lease ends. So then I get my puppy.
Yeah. So for the record,
Day one move in, I'm buying my puppy.
I am not a dog hater. I love dogs. I'm excited to get a dog. We just can't do it right now. And she's acting like I'm holding her hostage.
I thought it was so funny because I put a story on Instagram and I was going through the archives of our text of how much I was bugging you, and it was like 2023, 2024, 2022. Like it was like, like going back years of how many times I mentioned that I want a puppy. So
it's ridiculous. Okay. 2 questions that are or we'll start with one of them. What do you think the secret is to a healthy marriage?
We've only been married a year. There's no way we know that.
We don't know that. We don't know it, but what do you think it is?
The secret is to healthy marriage, communication.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just talking. I mean, making sure that all the cliches that people say, you don't really realize how true they are until you are in the situations. But don't go to bed angry, because if you go to bed angry, you're just going to wake up resenting the person with unresolved stuff the next morning. And it just ends up being like, I could see how people could go down that path of it slowly grows into a major problem.
Right.
Because they're too prideful, or their ego gets in the way, or whatever reason. They don't address something before bed one night, and it just snowballs.
Right.
Give them a kiss before bed, right? Give your spouse a kiss before bed, and just like have that little bit of time where you just, cuddle for a bit, or, just get close to each other, and just all of those things, the communication, the closeness, all those things are extremely important for a healthy marriage, because it's not, you have to remember that person is your teammate in life for life now.
Well, and something that we know is like you constantly have to work on it. It's not something like you get married, great, don't have to do anything else. Like you have to constantly work at it, and there's going to be times where it's harder and there's going to be times where it's easier.
Yeah.
So I think just like knowing that and keeping the communication really good makes it better.
Agreed. Biggest things that help us overcome challenges together.
Biggest things that help us overcome challenges together?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you elaborate?
I mean, that's really it. The biggest things that any type of frameworks that we have, I guess, for helping us overcome challenge. One thing is I'll take off my shirt a lot of times, and that'll just like mesmerize her.
What? No.
And make her just completely. Her jaw just kind of drops, and then she forgets.
I forget what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's one that you can try. Another one that I would say is our little check-ins.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Okay, you say it then. You say it.
Okay. You say? We actually haven't had it this month. We're doing terrible.
We're only halfway through the month. It's about normal.
Okay. Well,
I feel like this has been a check-in, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Because we buried out a lot of crap.
Every month, at least once a month, we'll do a monthly check-in. We'll check in, just if there's something that's been bothering the other person, what we're doing well in, what they need from you,
mm-hmm.
And all that stuff. So it's just, we also set the setting as like, okay, we're just talking, we're having a conversation, we're not going to get mad, we're just expressing how we feel. So by setting that standard up front, it makes, something that could potentially become an argument not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and what she's trying to say is that you don't wait until you're angry about something to be like, you know what, let's check in right now. Blah, blah, and then you just like unload on the person. It's got
Yeah.
to come at a point. Like you can obviously, you're all gonna have problems that you're frustrated about at any given time, right?
Yeah.
But you don't wait. You don't do it at a time where it's emotional or fresh. You have a check in at a time where, a lot of times ours will be when we're out on a walk,
Mm-hmm.
or when we're
In a car driving.
driving like a road trip or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, where it's a calmer setting. We have other things that that's kind of like going on, and we're going to be together for an extended period of time. And it's just, no one ever brings it up in an emotional manner. It's just like, hey, how am I doing? Like, how do you feel like we're doing right now? And then you just talk, and then you try to address the things that you can. You don't get emotional by the things the other person might say or might bring up. You just try to understand where they're coming from, and then you address it. You try to make changes moving forward. But I think that's been a huge thing for us, for sure. Um, Anything else that you want to say about 1 year, about any of those topics?
I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for everything else that's coming up, and all the big major life changes in the future. I don't want to rush into it, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited about getting a house with you. I know that's probably going to be a very painful, emotional roller coaster, but I know we'll go through it, and we'll probably have to get a fixer upper because everything's expensive now. But it'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a fun little project that we do together. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. The other big life thing that we're going through right now is we are officially training for a marathon.
Oh my gosh, it's so awful. Yeah. I am definitely struggling. I used to run when we first started talking,
Mm-hmm.
and started getting into weightlifting, and kind of just went fully on that and just left running, and then getting back into it has been a struggle, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
At least for me, it's been a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting really far out. Where our plan would be to run a marathon come like December, maybe the Dallas Marathon.
Yeah.
But we're excited for it. We ran 5 miles this morning, which kicked our butts because we were at like a family event super late last night. We got home super late last night, and we didn't get up at 6 a.m. like we were trying to on this Sunday morning, and which kind of threw everything off. So we ended up running our 5 miles, our longest run yet so far in this training block.
At peak heat time.
Yeah, at like 90. It was like 90. I mean, it wasn't peak heat time for the day, but it was
we
like
finished
90 to 92 degrees probably.
We finished our run like around 12. So I mean, that's sun's out.
Yeah, it was out for sure.
Yeah.
So we've been having like headaches all day from just the sun and hydration, and bodies are already sore and all that stuff. But
we're getting old, Baker.
We are getting old. I turned 26. That's an update since the last podcast.
Oh yeah.
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 I had a birthday. Getting up there.
You are.
But we're doing it.
We are.
We're doing all the things.
I'm excited.
Me too. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Bamcast. If you have any other questions for us to answer next time, Kenzie is going to 100% be back on. She's my most attractive guest, like I said, so I try to have her on just to have some eye candy to look at every once in a while. But we really appreciate you guys watching the whole episode. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure that you follow the show if you're on any type of audio platform, and share with a friend if you get something out of it. These more casual episodes where I'm talking to like Addie or Kenzie or any of the kind of close group, it's to kind of break up the other episodes that might be more intense, more knowledge, more educational, more business, and to kind of give you an insight to we want it to be well rounded basically. So if these episodes are of any value, share with a friend. And I'd love to get your feedback as well in the form of a review or a comment. That'd be awesome. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Good job, Mr. Shields.